The D.C. government recently ended a partnership with Georgetown University that provided services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The D.C. Department of Disability Services ended the contract in August after 14 years. The partnership came out of a 40-year class action lawsuit on the treatment of disabled residents at the Forest Haven Asylum. Robert Dinerstein, a professor at American University Washington College of Law and director of its Disability Rights Law Clinic, sat down with me and explained how the partnership came out of the court case.
One of the big issues in the case over the last, say, 10 years was the quality of medical and health services. And one of the things the district did was to contract with Georgetown in order to provide those services. So they were still responsible in the agency, but Georgetown was the entity that was delivering the services. And by all accounts, it was a very successful partnership.
The program ran out of Georgetown's University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. It provided $1.4 million in services to approximately 800 residents each year.
Recently, the agency got out from under the lawsuit. The lawsuit ended in 2017, and so they've been running things, more directly. And in this last year, the agency, Department on Disability Services, decided they wanted to bring the services in-house. And the concern that many people have is they're giving up a known quantity which was doing very well, and where the people in the community, other providers, stakeholders, people with disabilities trusted, and now sort of essentially move to a new system.
Sandy Bernstein, legal director of Disability Rights DC, is concerned about what this means for those with significant healthcare needs.
The decision to get rid of Georgetown, unfortunately, was done without input from the stakeholders, both from advocates, providers, family members, people with disabilities themselves, to look into what really Georgetown had provided and what was being replaced. And they're not just Georgetown University. It's great that they're affiliated with a well-respected university, but they're also what's known as the University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, or UCEDS as they're called for short. They're federally designated programs where they have expertise in working with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. There were a lot of groups and organizations that came together on this issue that aren't typically involved in advocacy involving people with intellectual disabilities. City Council held an emergency hearing, which is not often done in July, when a lot of times people are on recess. Places like the ACLU and the Washington Lawyers Committee testified. That's not typical. You even had individuals from outside, national groups, were submitting letters saying, why are you doing this? The Washington Post covered this with more than 5 articles, which again is great, but not typical. And for whatever reason, the mayor has decided, and this was the District of Columbia mayor's decision, not to at least extend the contract.
Amy Brooks, CEO of RCM of Washington, is concerned about how people might view DC after the decision.
I kind of worry what it does to our reputation. And I'm very proud of how we've built up that reputation, and I want to make sure that we maintain it.
All advocates and organizations can do now is wait and see what happens.
At bottom, it's really about serving people with disabilities in the best possible way, because that's what we should be doing as a city. And so the hope is, whatever actually happened, I think everybody should be hoping that it actually works out.
This is Marissa Sinatra signing off.